All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. You're back with your host, Coach Rowe. Welcome to the GainxGrow Fitness and Health Podcast. So, I just want to talk to you guys today about the topic we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on functional fitness and the importance of functional fitness in our daily lives. And I really want to impose, upon you that functional fitness is something that we do in our everyday lives. So, as you find out later more into the podcast, I'm going to share tips, tricks, and other ways that you can add functional fitness to your daily routine and your workouts that it's not going to stress you out and make you think, oh my gosh, am I doing things right or am I doing things wrong? Anyways, I just want to make sure that you guys know, and I want to encourage you guys to follow us at GainxGrow on Instagram. You can also reach out to me at www.gainxgrow.com if you would like to join us and the community for more fitness, plans, nutrition advice, and plenty more information. So, I just want to talk to you guys today in the first segment is understanding functional fitness. So when you're thinking about functional fitness, you have to talk about the importance that it has in enhancing your everyday movement and your patterns in our daily lives. So for example, when you're thinking about the difference between traditional strength training and functional fitness, they're two different walks of life, but also they can intertwine. When you go to the gym, if you see someone just doing a bicep curl, working on their biceps, or maybe just a hamstring curl, focusing on the hamstrings, that is more strength training because you're looking at the aesthetic of the muscle. As opposed to functional training, you may see those compound movements like squats, bench press, shoulder presses, all those different things, lunges. Those are all everyday things that we do. Think about when you're going to have a seat or you're getting up from your seat. You're almost in the squat position for most when you're sitting down in a seat. And then as you want to rise your body out of that seat, you have to rise a squat, right? So you have to think about all the different things when you're lifting weights or lifting things over your head to put up maybe into a cupboard. That is actually using your shoulder strength and using body strength, using core, using balance. So those are all areas that functional fitness really intertwines within the gym. So when you're thinking about compound movements, like doing the squats, deadlifts, for example, shoulder presses, bench press, those are compound movements that look in working all the muscles in tandem. So that's the difference between looking at functional fitness and also strength training. And it's just important that you realize that when you do fitness, for example, in functional fitness and strength training, you are basically lowering your risk of injury. Now, people will be like, well, when I get injured if I'm working out? Not if you do it properly. And also, over time, as you get better, you realize more muscle mass equals more longevity. And when you're looking at muscle mass, for example, I'm not talking about getting huge. I'm just talking about as you build muscle on yourself naturally. Imagine if you're bracing yourself for impact or sudden movements, your body is more well equipped and also organized to make sure it can handle any sudden movements, any sudden impacts, and you're less likely to fracture the bone in your skeletal areas, which are very, very easy to hurt. Right? So we're going to talk about one really quick question that I have for you guys in the audience is, what makes an exercise functional? So I want to know what you think. What makes an exercise functional? Now, what I would think, what I used to before I researched this topic and, way before I became a coach, I used to think functional was just like, it works. If it works, it works. If I can jump, that means my body is working well. If I can write, I can do this, I can do that, lift things, that is functional. But what I really want you to understand is functional exercises mimic real life movement. So I wasn't totally wrong. And it engages multiple muscle groups simultaneously. So think about, for example, if you're doing a jump squat or when you're playing a sport, those are all functional fitness movements that we do. And thinking about improving coordination and balance and stability. So in all those areas, that is what functional fitness usually ties into. So if you think about, for example, coordination, balance, you might be looking at different things like, for example, yoga. That is part of functional fitness. Yeah, even though it is a lot of times you're doing different stretches, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of core engagement when you're doing some of those exercises, so it can definitely be quite challenging and a great place to help strengthen and stretch those muscles as well. Now, I'm going to focus more on the key components and the key compounds of functional training. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about key components in functional fitness, including strength, mobility, and flexibility. So those are the three areas that we look to always try to improve when we're working with clients, but also try to improve in everyday life. Because when you're thinking about improving your strength to lift certain objects, you want to make sure that you are doing the proper exercise to help you gain that advantage. And when you're looking at mobility, be able to move, be able to stretch without pain and being pain-free. That is very important. And also flexibility can be a really key aspect for some of our athletes in our program, but also even for people that just want to be able to, if they want to get up from somewhere, or they're folded on the ground, they want to be able to move and stretch or do different things. That is flexibility, and all three of those things are needed for functional fitness. So some of the specific exercises and training methods that target these components can be things like I talked about a little bit earlier: compound movements. So those are, like I talked about, squats, those type of things. I'm talking about mobility drills. So as you can see, many different mobility drills you can find on TikTok, Instagram. Even if you come to us and work with one of us, we'll show you those things because we find mobility is so important. For example, if you're going to do a deep squat, maybe you're going to be doing, for example, forward lunges, rocking back and forth. You might be doing different things like cat cows, for example, bird dogs. Those are all great for mobility and strength. And it also helps you focus on your body and build, what important is to build, right, the muscle, but also to have you feeling pain-free. So really getting into those movements and working on those mobility drills and dynamic stretches. Those are stretches that I do before I work out or lift weights, because those dynamic stretches are mimicking the movements I'm going to be doing in my exercise. So for example, if I know I'm going to do a heavy leg day, I might do some leg swings, I might do some hip circles, right? I'm on my hips, right? I might do some, for example, some lunges, might do a little bit of air squats, jump squats, whatever it is, just to mimic, that power diversity of movement that I'm going to be carrying on into that compound movements or those other exercises that I might want to isolate later on into my workout. Now, I want to provide you guys with a few different examples of functional exercises that translate directly to activities in our daily lives. So think about, for example, simple as sports, right? If you're doing a jump squat, that might mimic you trying to get ready to jump to catch a ball, whether you're jumping to shoot if you play a sport like basketball. If you're looking at forward side lunges, skaters, you're working on the lunges. If you're a good skater, you're working on that too in sports. So that translates. You want to be able to transfer that power, that speed, and that strength onto your course of the game that you're doing for performance purposes, and even in occupational demands. So think about even our people who work at desks, people that are sitting all day. You'll get a lot of lower back pain just from sitting down. And a lot of the times your spine wants to make sure it stays safe, but it's going to lean into that chair. And when you sit in that area for so long, you're going to have some lower back pain. Your medial muscles, your glute muscles will get weaker because they're not being demanded to work. And that's when you start getting that pull and that little pain in that lower back. Now, there's a lot of things you want to do to make sure that you can strengthen that yourself in those occupational areas. For example, strength training, functional training, those are all great things. And when you focus on even just your body weight, there's different things you can do. For example, just a bunch of push-ups. You can do weighted push-ups. You can do, for example, body squats, weighted body squats, lunges, walking lunges. Those are all great things because imagine you do all these different things throughout the day, whether you're pushing a door open. For example, you're lifting to carry maybe your bags. Maybe you're just holding your grocery bags, for example, like a farmer's carry. Those are all things you're going to need to do, right? And this functional training, how it translates. So I just want to make sure you understand the demand of functional training is basically helping you to get better in your everyday lives. Now, I just want to remind you guys and take a quick break here just to remind you guys to please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to find out any more information about fitness, health, performance, working with our team, and helping me to grow, to reach to more viewers, to help more people, please feel free to just like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, because I'd love to read all the comments just to share with you guys on how I can help. And basically, I just want to make sure that encourage you guys to share your experiences down below in the comments of just how functional fitness has maybe helped you in the past, or maybe how it's helping you now. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the chat below. All right, so let's go on to our next part here, integrating functional training into your routine. So I wrote down a few notes here. So I want to kind of share with you guys some practical tips on incorporating functional exercises into existing workouts. So some things you can do. Think, for example, if I'm going to go do a push day exercise, so that's more my upper body, I'm going to do some pushing, and I'm going to probably do maybe some bench press. I might do, for example, some bar rows. For example, I might do some shoulder presses, but in between some of those, I might be doing push-ups. I might be doing, for example, planks. I might be doing, for example, some lunges. I might be doing, for example, some other types of workouts that I can do, because those are functional exercises that are going to help translate me, whether I want to do that before, or maybe I do a bench press to do a bunch of push-ups to kind of warm up. That is still something that I might do to help me become more functional in my training. So it's important to make sure you're looking at incorporating some of these into your existing workout routines, even if it's just no weights at all. Like, for example, just some lunges, just standing in one spot, do a nice lunge, right? Working on that front leg, working on the quad. You can do, for example, some just heel raises,